I just want to go over a homework from a pre-calculus student at a community college here in California and how to do it. So this is graph the inequality below on the number line. So this is our number line. So it says greater than or equal to -6. So since it's equal to is part of the problem, we do a fill-in circle. If it was just x greater than 6, we would have an open circle and draw an arrow. Okay, rewrite the parentheses and simplify. So if we rewrite this, when it's squared, we're just multiplying it by itself. And then if we simplify, we can use the FOIL method and have first v squared outside minus 3v inside minus 3v and last, which is 9. -3 times a -3, negative times a negative is equal to a positive. So this ends up being v squared negative plus a negative is a negative, right? So negative 9v plus 9. And that's the solution. Now, if you want to do a little more simpler and in a way that means less room for error, it's good to remember that a minus b squared is equal to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So this way you can just fill in for a and b. So a is v in this case, a minus b squared. I can write it below here to make it more simpler. So a is v, so v squared minus 2ab. So 2 times a, which is v, times b, which is 3, right? Plus b squared, which is 3 squared. And so that ends up being v squared minus 2 times 3v plus 9 minus 6v plus 9. So that's the solution. So you can see here, I made a mistake. So it's really good to catch myself here, a learning moment. So -3 plus a -3 is 6v. So they're both the correct solutions. Factor v squared minus 4. So this is just a difference of squares, they call it. So they use the notation a squared minus b squared. So how do we solve this? Well, a difference of squares is simply equal to a minus b, a plus b. So that's going to be, if we fill in our v and our 4, it's going to be v minus 2, right? Our b is 2 times v plus 2. That's our solution. Simplify your answer as much as possible. The best way to do these is to take square root of -24 and break it up into into -1, square root of -1 times 24. And that's going to be equal to I square root of 24. And in order to understand the square root of 24, we can do a prime factorization. So 6 and 4, 3 and 2, and 2 and 2. So we end up with 2 cubed times 3. And it might be simpler to look at it as 2 times 2 squared times 3. And if we put that in a radical, you should be able to see that 2 squared times 2 times 3, we can simply bring the 2 out because the square root of a number squared is simply that number. So we end up with 2 square root of 6 and I. And that's the solution, 2i square root of 6. So the next problem, we have x and y intercepts. So the x-intercept is when your y-coordinate is equal to 0. It's when the function crosses the x-axis. So this is equal to your x-intercept. So when does the function cross the x-axis? It's at 3 when y is equal to 0. Okay, and our y-intercept is when the function crosses the x-axis. So that's when x is equal to 0. So when x is equal to 0, y is equal to -2. Find the slope. So what is slope? Slope is equal to rise over run. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 up, and we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's equal to slope, which is sometimes referred to by the variable m. Factor completely. So how are we going to factor this? Let's take the 3 out, right? Greatest common factor is a really good way to start. What's 72 divided by 3? So let's divide. 3 goes into 7 twice with 1 left over. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 24 times 3 equals 72. Okay, what are two numbers that multiply together to equal 24, but add to equal negative 11? So again, let's take 24, prime factorization. Let's try 8 and 3. 8 times 3 gives us 24. Negative 8 plus a negative 3 gives us a negative 11. So to completely factor this, we're going to have v minus 11 times v minus 3. Sorry, v minus 8 times v minus 3. And that's your solution. Okay. Rewrite the following without an exponent. So anytime you have a negative exponent, it's simply 1 over 3 cubed. And what is 3 cubed? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. That's your solution. Graph the inequality below on the number line. So a less than or equal to 8. So 8's here. We have an equal. So we fill in the dot and we say less than. Rewrite without parentheses and simplify. So again, y plus 7 squared equals y plus 7 times y plus 7. We can use FOIL, y squared plus 7y plus 7y plus last plus 49, which is y squared plus 14y plus 49. Or we can use the fact that a plus b squared equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And that we simply fill in our a's and our b's, and we're going to end up with y squared plus 2 times 7 times y plus b squared, which is 49. So we end up with y squared plus 14y plus 49. And that's the same. So these, again, are our two methods of doing this: FOIL and recognizing that this will just equal a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Factor u squared minus 16 is simply u minus 4, u plus 4. Simplify your answer as much as possible. So again, the easiest way to do these is take out your negative 1, multiply by your 32. That's the same thing. Negative 1 square root of negative 1 is equal to I. So we have I square root of 32. Now let's do prime factorization on 32. We could do 16 times 2. 16 is 4 squared. So we end up with a radical that's 4 squared times 2i. So whenever we have a number squared, right, square root of a squared is equal to a. So we're going to end up with 2 times I square root of 2. Sorry, 4 times I square root of 2. Check. Okay. Let's do one more. Let's do 6 to the negative 2. Again, when there's an exponent with a negative, it's going to be 1 over 6 squared, which is equal to 1 over 36. So that's just a quick way of doing the pre-calc homework for community.